Aloha, folks, and welcome to this edition of Five Questions, a special get-together with candidates seeking your vote coming up on August 11th at, of course, Primary Day. Today, it's a delight to welcome back Tulsi Gabbard, who is seeking the office of Congresswoman from the 2nd Congressional District. And Tulsi, thanks for taking the time out today. Aloha to you.
Aloha, Rick. Thank you so much for having me, and a big aloha to all of your listeners today.
It's a pleasure indeed. We're just a few days away, so our 5 questions all about the campaign, and we'll start with a very basic one for our listeners, and that is, why would you like to be the Congresswoman from CD2?
You know, Rick, there's something that I have heard consistently throughout this campaign on every single island, in every neighborhood, and it's something that I felt initially that has fueled my offering to serve as a member of Congress for Hawaii, and that is the frustration that I feel and that many of us feel with the same old politics as usual that we're seeing so strong in Washington that has really led us to a place where people are not being served. We're seeing self-serving politicians, giant corporations and Wall Street banks who are really just working to move themselves ahead while our middle-class families and small business owners are ignored and are left behind. And really, this is such a disservice because Congress is the people's house, and I am running to take back that place and return it to the people where it belongs. You know, we're seeing so many challenges here in Hawaii in particular with rising costs of whether it's gas or food or medicine, and we're in a position where our seniors are oftentimes having to make that choice between food and medicine, or families, you know, both parents working 2 jobs, sometimes even 3, just to get by and pay the rent. And that's really where I have gained so much inspiration and motivation throughout this race, because I hear from people that they're really looking for a fresh approach. They're looking for fresh leadership, someone who will be a servant leader in Congress, put aside their own interests and fight for the interests of the people. And that's why I'm running. That's what I'm interested in doing, is really fighting to break the grip that these Wall Street banks and huge corporations and the rich and powerful have in Congress, and place it back into the hands of the people, putting aside all the partisan, you know, the bickering and the politics that really gets in the way of people just working together and working hard to serve the people, revive our economy, create good jobs, and also putting us in a position through that revitalized economy to protect Social Security and Medicare, make sure we have a strong national defense, make sure that our kids are getting the best education possible, and protect our environment here, which is just so precious here in Hawaii.
Talking with Tulsi Gabbard, of course, and enjoying our 5 questions. And number 2, Tulsi, a very simple one, which would be, there are 3 others that are seeking the nomination. What's the major point of differentiation between you and the other candidates?
Well, there are a few other, actually, people will see 6 names on the ballot when they go to cast their votes in this primary election, and I have great respect for anyone who takes that giant step to throw their hat in the ring and offer to serve the people. Here we are, though. We're about 3 days out from Election Day, and it really has come down to a race between Mufi Hanum and myself. And really there is a clear choice for voters between the same old politics as usual that has gotten us into the mess that we're in today in this country, and fresh leadership for Hawaii and our nation that really creates opportunities for our families here. There's 3 points that I want to bring up about distinctions there and contrast. The first one being experience. I've been really fortunate to have a variety of experiences throughout my life. From serving in the Hawaii State Legislature, I was elected at 21 years old, 10 years ago. Also deploying on 2 Middle East deployments with the Hawaii Army National Guard, working with Senator Akaka in Washington, D.C., where I assisted him on issues such as energy independence, homeland security, the environment, and Veterans Affairs, serving on the City Council, as well as being a small business owner myself. And it's this wide variety and depth of my experience that really has provided me with a very unique skill set that I believe will best serve Hawaii and will allow me to hit the ground running and be effective immediately in fighting for the interests of Hawaii's people. Just to touch on one other area there, you know, as a veteran, I know firsthand the cost of war both in human lives and resources. And just about a week and a half ago, I attended a deployment ceremony. We sent out over 100 more of our Hawaii Army Guard soldiers to Afghanistan. And if I have the privilege of serving in Congress, I'll be the first woman combat veteran ever elected in our nation's history. And I see great value in that because it will give me a unique platform to have a strong voice and provide leadership on our role as a country in the world, that we cannot afford to be the world's police, and my voice will be heard on these issues, and to be able to fight for our veterans, which, an ever-growing population facing new challenges. These are very important issues. Similarly, sorry, one more. I just want to mention small business because I know you have a lot of small business owners who listen to your show. I think it's important to provide that distinction between my small business background versus Mufi's experience as a CEO and really looking at more of the corporate side of the house. And I think that the small business voice has not been heard in Congress. We've heard a lot about CEOs and getting bailed out, while our small business owners are left to fend for themselves and really struggle. And that's a voice that I think needs to be heard and that I will bring to Congress.
We are talking with Tulsi Gabbard, candidate for Congress, CD2. Tulsi, with our time remaining, just about 4.5 minutes or so, I'd like for you to, if you would, please, the greatest challenge that is facing Hawaii and the nation together that you can address as Congresswoman from CD2.
Absolutely. I think there's no question that the biggest challenge for our state is the same as for our nation, and that is our economy, because there are many other issues and many other challenges that we face. But without a strong economy, we can't talk about creating jobs. We can't talk about, there is no taxes and no revenue and no funds for the core services that government provides, whether it's infrastructure, national defense, Social Security, Medicare, education, the list goes on and on. So having that strong economy is absolutely essential. And without it, we end up borrowing from China and other places and end up just increasing the debt that gets carried on for future generations. And this is unacceptable. This is something that must be changed. So getting our economy back on track is absolutely my first priority. And in order to do that, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we need to really go back to what is the root cause? What was the cause of our economic downturn? We can look back to these influences that these huge corporations and Wall Street banks and politicians have had on our country's policies in really shaping them in a way that benefits very, very few, and the majority of taxpayers end up carrying the burden. So a few specific things, when we talk about the economy and how do we revitalize our economy and really provide these opportunities, especially for our small businesses, is first of all to reduce the tax burden. Again, major tax exemptions get written into policy and into the tax code by those who can afford the $1 million K Street lobbyists. And small business owners are working too hard and can't afford those kinds of advocates. So I would see it as a great honor and a tremendous responsibility to serve as an advocate for small businesses and make sure that the policies that are passed adequately serve and reflect the real challenges people are facing on the ground every day. I think we need to make sure that we provide easier access to capital, work with our community banks, work within the private sector, and see what kind of partnerships we can come up with so that small businesses can have easier access to capital. And also, from a government standpoint, work to keep health care costs low. This is one thing that I've heard on every island from small business owners as I've gone, walking business to business is this cost of health care provides such a great burden. And it's not that people don't want to take care of their employees. They just want to be able to stay in business and provide these jobs. And so I think we need to make sure that those protections are in place, especially as national health care policy continues to change and evolve, that our small businesses have that strong voice and are supported to make sure that they can stay alive. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we're fast approaching our time together. I wondered
Too fast.
I know, it just flies by together. I can't believe it. But If you wouldn't mind, we have just about 60 seconds left, including information how folks can help your campaign in the last few days. You have just about a minute to go, Tulsi.
Thank you, Rick. Really, again, there is a clear choice in this election. And for those who haven't voted yet or those who are still undecided, I just ask you to consider the clear choice that exists really between those same old politics that has gotten our country into this mess that we're in versus fresh leadership, a new approach that will work hard for Hawaii's people towards that bright future. If you have any questions, please do get in touch with me. You can visit my website at www.votetulsi.com. Or you can find me on Facebook. And I just ask you to seriously consider the impact that your vote will make, because this will be a very close race that will be decided this Saturday on August 11th, and every single vote will truly make a difference. So I appreciate your consideration and humbly ask for your support.
Tulsi, we thank you for always taking the time to join us here on the program, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we'll talk to you on Saturday as well.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Tulsi.
Aloha.
Aloha to you too. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
And again, here on News Radio 830 KHVH, and be sure to log on to hawaiireporter.com, where this edition of 5 Questions will be presented as well. Thanks so very much for joining us for this edition of 5 Questions. I'm Rick Hamada. We'll see you next time.